צהריים טובים, ברוכים הבאים לסשן של AWS Love Startup בסאמיט של תל אביב. לי קוראים אודי כץ, אני מנהל את סגמנט הסטארט-אפים של AWS פה בישראל, וזאת השנה השנייה שאנחנו מקיימים סשן ייעודי לסטארט-אפים בתוך הסאמיט של תל אביב. אני רוצה ראשית להודות ללקוחות, לשותפים ולמשקיעים שיעלו על הבמה לאחריי וישתפו מהסיפורים שלהם במהלך היום, וכמובן להודות לכל אחת ואחת מכם שבחרתם להגיע ולהיות איתנו היום. האג'נדה שלנו תכלול מספר נושאים. אנחנו נתחיל עם סשן ראשון שנספר קצת על התוכניות והמסלולים שלנו לסטארט-אפים ואיך אנחנו מלווים אותם ב-AWS. לאחר מכן נדבר קצת על אסטרטגיות הצמיחה האפשריות שאנחנו רואים לשנת 2023. אנחנו נמשיך עם פאונדרים שיעלו על הבמה וישתפו בטעויות שהם עשו לאורך הדרך, נוכל ללמוד מהם ולראות איך בחלק מהמקרים אולי אפשר לחסוך טעויות עתידיות. לאחר מכן יעלו 7 משקיעים מהקרנות המובילות בישראל, וכל אחד ייתן לנו קצת מהחזון שלו לגבי איך הוא רואה את התפתחויות הצמיחה העתידיות בתחום הסטארט-אפים פה בכלל, בישראל ובאקוסיסטם הגלובלי. אנחנו לקראת סיום נדבר לטובת ה-CTOים שבתחילת דרכם, קצת טיפים, קצת לראות איך אפשר לתת מהידע כדי לראות איך אפשר להתקדם ולהתפתח מבלי לחזור על חלק מהטעויות גם שדיברנו קודם. ונסיים עם go to market באקוסיסטם שלנו, גם איזשהו סיפור ככה שיסגור בעצם את המעגל. So without further ado, I would like to invite to the stage our Vice President, Global Head of Startup, Mr. Wright.
Good afternoon, everybody. How's everybody doing? Pretty good? That's me, but before we start talking about the cloud, I have a 30-year history and a love affair with Israel and the people of Israel. I really, if you'll indulge me, let me tell you an embarrassing story about me and how I first came to Israel. It was 1992. I had just gotten released from one of the teams, I think it was the Orlando Magic in the NBA. I had a short and non-illustrious career many years ago and many pounds ago. My agent was and still is Israeli. He said, hey, you should try out for this team in Maccabi Tel Aviv in Israel. Some of you all look pretty young, so you might not remember Kevin McGee, but does anybody remember how great Kevin McGee was as a player for Maccabi and all the championships? Yeah, the best. He was a legend in the States in college, and he was a legend over here. So I get the call to, hey, come, Kevin is hurt, but we need, we're going to have 3 players work out against each other. We're going to keep one of those players, and that player is going to be on Maccabi Tel Aviv until Kevin gets back for the playoffs. I was like, okay, I can beat out a couple other guys. I probably couldn't beat out Kevin McGee, but I can beat out these other guys. So I get here, it's January, February or so. I am better than the other guys. I sign a contract with Maccabi Tel Aviv that I'm sure my mother has somewhere in our house. And what happens is Kevin's knee gets better quicker. Kevin's knee is like ready to go. I'm here, I'm getting paid, and the GM at the time gives me the best insult that I've ever had in my life that I want to share with everybody today, which is, in broken English, in Hebrew, Howard, thank you so much. We think Kevin at 60% is better than you at 100%. So I said, yeah, probably very accurate, yes. But what does that mean? So, well, we want you to stay, we want you to be in practice and train with Kevin and train with the team and go on some trips with us, but you're not going to play, Kevin is going to play. I said, do I still get paid? He said, of course. And so that was a ton of money for 1992. That was my first experience. I got to be here basically on vacation playing basketball with Maccabi Tel Aviv. But I don't have any footage. I can't go to YouTube. I can't say that I scored some important basket for Maccabi because I never did. So we came back here when I was working at Intel. We did a couple of the deals. Some of you might remember Replay Technologies. We did some volumetric stuff. We did it right there at Maccabi. And when I went back a couple of years ago, they were nice enough to give me this jersey and let me go on let me go on the court for a few minutes to relive a past that I never really had with Maccabi. So that was one of the reasons that I first came here. None of you all cared about that story, but I thought I'd share it anyway. What's more important is what we do here at AWS for and to the ecosystem and the community here. Our job, quite simply, is to captivate the hearts and minds of the most important startups and VCs in the world and get them up and building on AWS, as Udi said earlier. This is what we get up every morning obsessed to do for and with our partners. And we are honored to have the success that we've had worldwide, and then especially here in Israel. We do that this is the infomercial part, this deep and rich offering set and the most secure and the biggest and widest startup community. It is done because of the people in this room. It is done because of the employees that we have, but it's done basically to pay homage to the intellect, to the tenacity, to the talent of those startup founders right here in the Israeli ecosystem. So we're going to talk about this a little bit more when our partners AI21 come up, but we just announced a couple different things. One was our Gen AI product, which is called Bedrock. We're going to deconstruct that for us in a little bit. And then we just announced also we have a Impact Accelerator, a Gen AI Impact Accelerator where 21 companies, including one here from Israel, was selected to come. There's non-dilutive cash to be shared. There's incentives. There's access to our solutions architects. There's access to our business associates to get them up and running what we think is going to be something that is extraordinarily disruptive. So we'll come back to this a little bit later with the expertise from our partners here. It is no secret that the most successful startups here in Israel build on us. That happened long before I got here. That happened before some of the folks even that have AWS's badges got here. We would like to think that we tap into something that is very unique. Talent, tenacity, focus. This is why we're here. We're here to make sure that the talent that we've seen from around the world and the 200,000 startups or so that have come through our AWS startups doors, we know what excellence looks like. We know how to give help and criticism and support and a little bit of guidance to the best and the brightest. And we usually do that with a coordinated effort between the things that happen in the market, our VC partnerships around the world. It manifests itself in a very, very intimate way. And especially some of the companies that are probably here in this room, we want to say thank you for your initial support and belief in us. And hopefully we will prove to be a worthy cloud partner for you for many years to come. Our CEO finally shared something publicly that we were begging him to share publicly for years and years, in that 83% of all the world's unicorns run on AWS. That is, again, a testament to the tenacity that our team has, but that's really hopefully doing something that we consider a very important leadership principle, which is customer obsession. Our customer obsession is, what do our customers need right now? What do they need 3 minutes from now, 3 weeks from now, 3 years from now, and try to be proximate to those needs and give them support. Is it the $1 billion in credits that we give out every year? Sometimes that's that. By the way, I don't have the $1 billion in credits on me, so please nobody run up on me after the end of this. I don't have that. I don't carry that around in cash, but all the folks here have access to those credits. This is, for us, please understand it's pride, but it's humble pride. It is not ego. We have not done that. Our partners in this room and around the global community have done this for us, and we're just an enabler and partner for them. If I was going to go through this whole startup journey and the scaling and then the building, but instead of hearing me chat about this in the abstract, I thought we'd bring our partners up because they have all gone through the various stages of growth. I was a CEO of a startup before I took this job, so I like to think that I am empathetic to some of the masochism that is required to be successful at this level. And so without further ado, I would like to bring up our partners, Dan, Guy, and Asaf from AI21, Cider, and Granulate. Thank you, boys, for joining us as we sit down. And the folks are already here, tired of hearing about my stuff. Give us some, honest feedback on how well we do as a partner, and then tell us some feedback on what you'd like us to do better as partners.
Big one.
Yeah.
I'm happy to take this. So actually, what was interesting to me is if you go back another slide. Yep, so that's actually brilliant. So when you start a startup, you start thinking about all the strategies that you can build and who could be your partner in the go-to-market. You mainly care about go-to-market. And so everybody thinks, you know what, I'm going to go to AWS. They're going to sell me to everybody. And at the end of the day, it's people, right? You have somebody who's managing a relationship, and you need them to take a bet on you versus 1,500 other vendors that they could choose from, whether it's for cost reduction in my case, or cybersecurity or something else. And unlike many avenues that you can choose from, AWS actually has a very structured partnership track, which is, some of it is listed here, some of it isn't. We were lucky enough that we had heard from a similar company in our space, from Spot, how their journey went and what would they recommend. So for us, this was a good startup to learn from, and then AWS just took it from us. Once we decided that AWS first, AWS just came in and pulled us through the track.
Yeah, I had the privilege to work with AWS, I think, on all the stages in the last few years. Before Cider, I was the CISO for AppsFlyer. So I had the privilege. So if you have a company that consumes all resources for AWS, it was AppsFlyer. But
Let's sign that. That's a future founder. Sign them up.
But really, I had, as I said, I had the privilege to see all the stages working with AWS and AWS teams from different angles, and this is why after AppsFlyer, I had immediately first call was to the team of the startups. We are building something new, and we need to work because I knew where they can take us in the future. So I think that the fact that you have all those stages and you can escort a startup from early stage when they have only like few instances and they need very limited resources, and then grow all the way to the scale and even further the scale. I think this is super important. I think the assurance that you can provide to companies that you can escort them and you can, bring them to wherever they want to be with all the resources, from technical resources and also from people resources. At the end of the day, in each stage, you have also the people that escort you and bring you all the knowledge, all the relevant knowledge for each stage, and they can, you've been transferred from one to another, but, it's not like, okay, you are now in the growth stage, good luck, and talk with us. So I think this is super important and very relevant for anyone that's thinking about where to go, what to have. I think the fact that you can have this entire journey with a single or in a single place, it's super important in the decision to go with someone.
Hi. So I think for us, we didn't have this journey mapped out in the beginning. That's probably not surprising in terms of how we want the relationship with AWS to go. But we did have an exciting vision and a lot of ambition on our side, and we were lucky that we were introduced to people on the AWS side who were able to, on the one hand, tap into that, see the potential, see how it makes sense for AWS as well, and then also kind of walk in our shoes and understand what we need to see from them to take the very limited time that you have as a small team building a startup and, you know, dedicate it to now building a relationship with this huge organization. So I think the key there and the kind of game changer is the initial first few months and the people who take you and show you that you can incrementally build a very fruitful relationship that for us started with, you know, some very specific things and now has grown into something much bigger.
Good. Thank you for that, Dan. Dan, why don't we stay with you, and then we'll come back to Asaf and Guy, which is, we know, we work with you all day, every day, but for those that are not familiar, maybe in the audience, your company, what your company does, what your unique cloud journey is, why don't you start for us?
Sure. So we're AI21 Labs. We're a generative AI company. So we started in late 2017 with kind of the technological opportunity that deep learning is going to impact natural language processing and natural language generation, and the idea that this will be an opportunity to revolutionize how we use computers to read, to write, to do a bunch of important things. What we do today, turns out, by the way, we were right. I think we can say that, given the last few months. What we do is we build our own large language models, and we use them to power our platform, where we team up with partners and clients to power their businesses and their products and services. And we also have our own products that target end consumers, so the WordTune series. And of course, all of this is powered by the cloud. These are huge workloads, both the training and the inference on these large models. So we have a very tight relationship with the cloud.
So today it's Palo Alto, so probably everybody familiar with Palo Alto. But before that, Cider was on a mission to build a single platform that will allow security team to implement and embed all the security needs as part of the development lifecycle, all the way from the developer to the production environment, and then from visibility to give you all the ability to protect the environment, the pipelines, the different solutions, or the different technologies that you have inside your CI/CD that you are familiar with. And also on top of that, give you the ability to implement and deploy any engine as part of your day-to-day if you need to scan specific item, by the way, using whether it's a commercial solution or using an open source solution from within our marketplace. By the way, it's we got the inspiration from AWS Marketplace, the ability to click on a button and then embed the solution into your day-to-day environment. So this is something that was part of Cider, and now we are part of big Palo Alto, and also working to be part of the entire organization of Prisma, and then give you all the way from code to cloud, whatever you need in that environment.
Granulate actually started as a compute workload optimization company. Our first and core value proposition is to do performance optimization through our agents within VMs or platforms. So we support anything from Databricks to on-prem to AWS. Right now, we branched out into orchestration space, so Kubernetes, Spark, which EMR is a major part of, and automated instance selection and instance right sizing. Now part of Intel, and integrating into the large Intel software solution suite and hopefully grow from there.
Yeah, that's when I talked to both of you all here about that, about really quick, straight vertical in terms of valuations and now the acquisitions from big mega tech companies. Maybe guy will talk with you. That 2 years seems like a short amount of time to go from an idea, choose a cloud partner, choose a great C-suite, get the right investors, to then getting subsumed by a massive entity like Palo Alto Networks. What was that journey like for you? There must have been some long nights for sure, but was this part of the mission from the beginning?
Yeah, not the acquisition was not from the beginning, but yeah, to build something big. But I think my co-founder and I came from the problem. At the end of the day, I was a CISO also in the security teams for almost 20 years. I've been in the trenches of security. Also, my co-founder also was part of the different security teams. And then, you know, when you leave the problem for many years, you have the thought of what should be the solution. So, you know, when you're living it, you live the problem very, very, very on a daily basis. And you have, you know, I always said that each feature in Cider was a scar on my hand from working with, no offense, working with engineers. But yeah, so, you know, when we started, the vision was very solid in our mind. And then when we came to pitch to, you know, to VCs and everything, you know, we stood on our back legs to say, this is how you need to solve it, because we suffered from this problem. It's not like we interviewed many CISOs or many security teams and then tried to figure out what is the problem and how we can help them to solve the problem. We've been in their chair, and this is why also, after, as part of the journey, you know, when we came to talk with security team, you know, the discussion was on the same level. You know, we didn't come with the fact that, you know, tell us what you feel. We know what you feel. We're on the same side of the problem. We are not like just another vendor that is coming. So this is why it helps us in our day-to-day and how we build the company and what we want it to be. And you know, it's came out good at the end.
And then Asaf, the transition from Granulate to now Intel, how's that going?
Well, there's always the struggle between how much the organization wants to help you and how much they can smother you. So you really want to make sure that you balance this out. But in Intel's defense, it's a lot smoother than you'd expect. So first of all, we are still a one unit. We're still operating as ourselves, and we get a free reign. So something that might surprise some people on the audience here is we actually support Graviton, we support AMD, we support NVIDIA. Intel has not made the decision to make Granulate an Intel-only company. And the other side of it is how much they can augment your capabilities, right? So they have a huge amount of teams working on Kubernetes. How can you integrate and leverage all of that into your platform or to their platform? They might have a much better platform. So I'm very grateful for their understanding of needing to keep the company culture, remain in Tel Aviv, if nothing else, and you know, just trying to make you as successful as possible and not forcing you. You can see my badge. I'm actually a Granulate badge, right? So they're not forcing anything on you. So
I used to work at Intel. I saw it done very well, and I saw it done very poorly one time. What you've done, and then with Mobileye, how it's an Intel company with your own identity is just brilliant. So Dan, let's wrap with you know, some AI 21 and Bedrock. We announced you as a foundational model partner inside of our Bedrock. You want to take us through the rest of the folks, what that really means and how that we're trying to obviously democratize access to this thing called Gen AI?
Sure. So Bedrock is very exciting. It's a platform that AWS has built within your own cloud to provide access to foundation models, large language models, basically the technology that we and other companies have researched and this is now bringing it to market in a very effective and scalable way. Essentially, it's a managed service, which brings with it a lot of convenience. You don't need to worry about deploying your own instances. You don't need to know anything below the abstraction level of this is the model that I'm consuming. I'm sending through my request, my information, and I'm getting the response. You pay by usage, and there's some great models available on the platform, including 2 of our instruction following models, the Jurassic 2 language models that we've been working on for a while, and they can follow natural language instructions. You can use them to implement features and workflows internally within the organization or as part of your product and services. So anything from summarizing long documents to drafting emails, through rephrasing and reshuffling text. Also some coding use cases and coding adjacent stuff will work pretty nicely, and also constantly evolving. We roll out a new version every few weeks, and they continuously and consistently get better. So keep your eyes out.
It seems like there's a seminal moment for generative AI. Every press release, every little bit of capacity, every H100 or even our own custom silicon, every check, almost every check that's coming from the VC world. Should we think about this as a moment, or that the moment is already happening and we just have to prepare for what is going to be our generational AI?
I think for me, it's always difficult answering this kind of question, because we started rolling this process from our perspective 6 years ago. Then in the past year or so, and even 6 months, I think every average person on the street became aware of the fact that something tremendous is happening here. So I think we're no longer at the point of we need to theorize about how this will impact our lives and what this will enable. We're now at the point of, okay, there's a million use cases. The technology is there to make them happen. And just, finding the right fit is not so difficult and so theoretical anymore.
Well, Dan, Guy, Asaf, I thank you for joining us here on stage. Hopefully I speak for everybody else in the room that became a little bit more enlightened after the few minutes that we had here. We appreciate the partnership, and we challenge you to challenge us to be the best cloud partner that we possibly can be. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.